Well, aloha kakahiaka, everyone. So great to be with you. So glad that you're here with us today. Today's April 12th, 2024, and you are on the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, the first thing that we got to do is we have our lineup over here. This is called e komomai. E komomai is the Hawaiian word for welcome. Come inside. It is a welcoming term. And so what we got, a couple things. If you're not watching us live, if you're on YouTube, you're gonna get there's chapters. There are YouTube chapters in the links, and you can click through to your favorite section. We're gonna be going through some news. We got a market update. Of course, your questions are what matter most to us. We got diamonds and deals. We're going to be going over some properties that everybody wants to highlight. And then finally, we're going to close up with some motivational thoughts. So welcome, everyone. Welcome. And what we're going to do right now is we are going to warm up. We need to get those mics going, those mics happening. And we are here with Kara. Kara, is it Crimmins? Is that how do you pronounce it? No. Okay. Kara Crimmins is with us. Thank you, Kara. Thank you for joining us. We're so happy to be here. Heidi Gang could not make it. She couldn't make it. She's not feeling well. And so Kara at the last minute jumped in. So Kara, what's happening with you today? Typically, we just kind of talk about a couple of simple things just to kind of warm up the microphones and let people get online. What's up with you today, Kara? Thanks for making it.
Well, in this beautiful world of Maui, where it's kind of overcast and gray, I decided to zhuzh up and bring some sunshine to everybody and hope that the orange gives a little pop of love, light, and aloha to everybody, encouragement. So what's happening over in Maui is we are just grateful to have sunshine inside, and we're going to look for new ways of bringing it to everybody everywhere. That's the true living of aloha, right?
Nice. Well done. Thank you. Oh, and Ashley has just joined us. Thank you, Ashley, for making it. Ashley is coming from Oahu. He's wearing a very special uniform for today. Dylan, what's going on? Where are you at and what's going on?
Yeah, I'm doing my week of Army Reserve duty this week. I got to do once a quarter. So I just took a quick break to jump on the show. I can't stay for the whole thing. I got to go back to work, but I'm wearing, unlike Kara, I don't have bright orange. I have olive drab on today. So this is my special outfit for this Friday, but just glad I had a little break to be able to make it in and see you guys. And I'll be returning back to work, and then I'll be back home this afternoon. So my last day of duty today.
I guess the designer, you always mention the designers on the clothes that you're in. I guess the designer here is Uncle Sam. It's designed by Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam design, right? Excellent. Good. Ashley, really glad that you made it. Glad that you're here. What's happening? How's Oahu? It is Kara mentioned this earlier. It is crappy. It is crappy rainy. It is a crappy rainy morning. How's the windward side?
Crappy and rainy. Windward, if for anyone who doesn't know Hawaii, the windward side is usually the rainiest and most tropical side of the island. So that's where I live. And it is equally as drab over here, which is unfortunate because we have to do our hair and stuff as girls. So walking outside when we look like wet cats, if we go out, we don't protect our head. So I'm like, I have a lot of meetings that I have to go to today. And between our heels, if you walk in heels, the heel stretches out and then you're sliding everywhere and then your heels are ruined forever. And then you look like a wet cat. So it's a mission to sit open houses and just adult in the rain when you're a professional.
Oh my gosh. Ashley, you crack me up because as a curly girl, I go poof.
I don't know if I'd rather go, when you have straight hair, you want curly hair. If you have curly, you want straight. I don't know if I want poof in volume or if I want to look like I'm scared and it's slicks down to my face and I look bald almost.
My hair things that you guys don't have to worry about, right?
I will refrain from commenting. I have no area of expertise here. So
yep, none whatsoever. None whatsoever.
Come on, your heels get caught in there too, Dylan.
You don't know the struggle of your stretched out heels.
The struggle of stretch out heels, indeed. I did have a very, very long time ago. I had very long hair, actually almost down to my waist, if you can believe that. And that was the beginning and the end where I so appreciated what women have to go through to take care of their hair. It's like, my God, what a mess. I'm never doing this again. And it's been this short ever since. Hey, I want to say a bunch.
real fast. Were you like rock and
Yes.
roll? Because my dad did that too, and he had it down to like his shoulder, and it was blonde, and he was super into rock and roll, and he was a mechanic, and seems.
It was
seems
just
like
one
an
of
era.
those things where, yeah, it was just one of those things where it was later in the years. My hair was actually very much gray, but it was one of those things where it's like a bucket list thing. I always wanted to have my hair long, and for one reason or another, I couldn't do it. And I said, okay, I'm going to finally do it now. And I did it, and I just let it go as long as I could till I couldn't stand it anymore. And then I shaved it all off again. So, hey, I want to give a quick shout out to a bunch of friends who have joined us. Michael Latta, welcome, Michael. Welcome back again. Aloha. Aloha, Michael Latta. We are so glad that you are here with us. And Auntie Joan is reuniting. Aloha, everyone. Auntie Joan, great to have you back with us. So happy that you're here. And she's saying it's pouring in Kaka'ako liquid sunshine. So, Joan, that's interesting because on my side of the island, we're in East Honolulu side. There's no sunshine here at all. There is no sunshine here at all. So I'm curious if you've got the sunshine over there, Joan, down in Kaka'ako or not. So let us know. Hey, and if you've joined us, please do let us know where you are from, where you're from, where you're visiting from. Like to know about it. Like to have the chance to acknowledge you. So thank you all so much. All right. Let's why don't we do this? Let me cover a few news. Dylan, is there anything, because you've got to go soon, is there anything that you wanted to point out news-wise that's interesting on the Big Island? Or is there anything newsworthy that you want to bring up or about the Big Island?
Nothing real big. I mean, we just got through Merry Monarch Week, which was a big
how was
week
that
for us on the Big Island. It was great. I mean, it's always busy. It's one of the most. It's like Merry Monarch and Iron Man are like the two like big events that happen on the Big Island, and one's in the spring and one's in the fall. But it's just cool seeing all the visitors, and I got to go over the first day. So before it starts, it's called Hoike. They do a day and they feature a bunch of different halals that aren't necessarily competing. And they do a big cultural from all kinds of different ethnicities, all kinds of different dances and stuff. And my three nieces and my mother-in-law are in a halau, and they all got to dance. So we got to watch them perform, and it was an awesome show. It was like an hour-long show with Tahitian and Tongan and hula all mixed into one. This was like a luau show, but it was a fun week. And then my wife had a great time shopping. That's the big highlight, is all of the local designers come in and set up shops, and that part I don't participate in, but it brings my wife a lot of joy. So that I'm happy about it. So lots of new stuff in her closet.
Anything that brings your life a lot of joy. That's the key. Yes.
Yes.
Bring joy to your wife. It will do you well.
Yes.
So thanks, Joan, for clarifying. No sunshine. I just call it the rain liquid sunshine. Okay. So Joan, just so you know, the reason why it's called liquid sunshine typically is because a lot of times in Hawaii you'll be in the rain, yet you're in the sun, and that's the term of use, liquid sunshine. Islander Ohana member, and Mark says, hey, aloha, everyone. Mark Whitehill is a member of the Islander Ohana. We go way back. Great to have you on, Mark, as usual. Aloha, everyone. Joan, send some of that sunshine up to Mililani, please. Raining cats and dogs up here today. Yeah, the rain. It's going to be one of these rainy days. It's going to be one of these. You could kind of tell some days. You can tell it's like it's going to burn off. I don't think it's going to burn off today. I think it's going to be one of those hopefully long, slow rains, which is good, right? Long, slow rain is good. My grass is getting a little brown, so long, slow rain is a good thing. Barbara says, hey, aloha from North Idaho. Sunny day here, very spring-like. Nice, Barbara. Nice. Idaho, that place gets cold, man. So it's always welcome to have some wonderful spring-like weather in Idaho. Yeah, it was thundering too. That's right. This morning, I was getting up and my wife said, did you hear that? I'm like, yeah, it's thunder, rolling thunder. Don't get too, I wonder what I would like to know what the meteorological reason is why Hawaii rarely gets thunder and rarely gets lightning. Rarely. It's a rare occurrence why we get thunder and lightning. So interesting. I'd like to know what's the science behind that.
That's all a good observation, actually, that you say that, because at home in the East Coast, we would get these really like large storms and lots of thunder and lightning, and we'd have like little mini like tornado funnels and stuff like that. And it was my mom's favorite thing. I remember it would be so scary because it would shake the house. It would thunder so loud. And now that you say that, I can probably count on both my hands how many times I recall it actually thundering in like 15 years here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even typically the thunder is extremely distant, right? It's extremely distant. So you don't even see the lightning. You just hear the thunder, right? There's no lightning. So it's so far away that it doesn't even kind of get there. So anyway,
we went on a big run this morning in the rainstorm. And then afterwards we were sitting there and the general was talking to us. But what I was surprised about is we saw the lightning flash. And the thunder was like 30 seconds. I mean, it was so long. It was crazy. And I haven't really heard, usually like brrr, like, real quick. But it just go on and on and on and on. So there's some really big stuff going on up in the sky because it was some really extended claps of thunder.
Yeah. And a 30-second delay. That's a long delay. That's a very, that's far away. Okay, who's the scientist among us here, gang? Either them or our audience. How many feet per second? What's the speed of sound in feet per second? So we could do some quick math and see how 30 seconds is going to take. How distance is 30 seconds if we do that? Joan says Colorado is known for lightning. That's why Tesla built his coil there.
Ooh,
that's a really cool piece of fun facts there. Thank you, Joan. That's very interesting. Did not know that. My daughter, who has moved to Colorado Springs, has told me. Let's hit some news over here. Interest over here going on. But for some reason, my phone's not. There we go. Okay. All right. So a couple things. So Dylan, Mark Benioff. Mark Benioff is the CEO of Salesforce. He has his history with the Big Island goes quite a ways back. He's had a home there for a long time. He just dropped $80 million to add a new wing to the medical center. It's called the Hilo Benioff Medical Center Expansion Project. So that was it's nice to have it's always good to have these tech billionaires dropping a lot of money who love the place. And Mark Benioff I would say he is legit. He's genuine. His care for Hawaii is pretty clear. You can kind of feel it. He also did a thing where he bought a bunch of fire trucks. They almost lost their home to a fire last year. And he asked, hey, what do you guys need? What can we do to help? And they said, well, give us buy some fire trucks. Okay, here you go. So three fire trucks. Yeah, 3 big dog fire trucks. So 2 tanker fire trucks and 8 brush fire trucks. So there you go. Ask Mark Benioff and thy shall receive. Excellent. So Maui housing mismatch bureaucracy. I'd love to know, Kara, when I get through with this, what your take is on all of these things. There's some really interesting stuff going on. There's some, every so often, what's really fun when you go through the news, a couple of things, stick out, and you'll read like 2 or 3 stories in succession, and they're like, man, something's kind of funky. So here's one. So the first story was 1,100 households were still living in 11 Maui hotels as of Friday last week. Mm-hmm. That's one story. Another one is about half the rental units are being reserved for Maui fire victims. About half of the rental units being reserved are still vacant. So on one hand, we're still paying top dollar for them to have housing, but the place where they can move into is empty. And then there's a FEMA story that they're extending the deadline till May 10th because there was going to be an expiration of the FEMA assistance programs. Looks like they've extended to May 10th. And then finally, they're saying there's a lot of loopholes in emergency proclamations. It's causing more homelessness. Nearly 8 months after the fires, the rental market is skyrocketing. Thousands of survivors are still living in hotels, and many more have moved away. So it's kind of interesting to kind of to think about that kind of what's been going on with that market. Yeah, we didn't predict this a long time ago, but we mentioned it's going to be a very, very interesting thing to see what happens when all of the government interferences with all the good intentions, what effect that's going to end up having. Ashley, cesspool fees. Looks like there's they're considering charging a fee if your residency or if your building lets cesspool matter into the ocean. So if you're essentially polluting with cesspool water, there's a chance that you're going to get an extra ding on it. This might be actually an interesting piece to give you economic incentive to replace the cesspools, as opposed to just making it, a mandate across the board. So I thought that was very interesting. There may be some cesspool dumping fees coming. I thought this one was really interesting. So bills that make you go, yeah. So here's what, so get this. So apparently there was a bill that was passed that would allow HECO to impose a new fee on customers to help prevent wildfires. I think as much as an increase of 5%. Now, what's interesting is that there were hundreds, 1,100 pieces of testimony were submitted against the bill, but they were missing when the bill was going through its process. They were missing. And then when the bill was passed, they found the testimony and it was all overwhelmingly negative. But because it was never there at the right time, it's like, didn't affect anything. Bills that make you go, That's what I kind of saw about that one. Dylan, what is going on the Big Island? Here's another round of stories that I thought were really interesting. So Big Island, big power supply problems plague Hawaii Island. They've got a bunch of generators that are down. They're way below what they need to be in producing. Yet at the same time, somebody files a lawsuit to make Puna geothermal environmental impact, which was passed. Somebody files a lawsuit to stop Puna geothermal. It's like you need power, but we're going to sue these guys. And there's another group called Hu Honua, and they're a biomass, and they use biomass to generate energy. They still haven't gotten their approval, and they requested to the PUC to give them their approval. So a lot of really interesting kind of things going on in the news. And I just I always like kind of finding out how to bring up these interesting issues. All right. So why don't we do this? Let me throw a really quick question out to everybody because it's going to relate to the question that we're going to have. So do you rent or own? So this is for our Ohana who's watching. If you're online with us now, let us know if you rent or own. That's going to relate to the thing that we're going to be talking about next. But let's do our market update right now. Why don't we hit Dylan first because he's on a limited time. Let's do Dylan and then Kara and then Ashley. Give us the market update, Dylan.
Yeah, the market looks like this month is on track to do about the same as we did last month. So no dramatic shift like we covered in the last show. There's been a steady increase in the number of sales that we've been seeing and no increase in the amount of inventory that's on the market. And so we're on track. There's 158 sales this month so far. There was just under 400 last month. So we're almost halfway through the month, a couple of days short of being halfway through the month. So we're probably going to see about the same number of sales, but inventory continues to be an issue that makes it a great time to be a seller if you want to put your house on the market. And the only thing that's saving buyers right now are the high interest rates and keeping a lot of buyers that are still sitting on the fence from being in the market. But as we keep saying, as soon as interest rates come down just a little bit or people continue to get used to the high interest rate market, the inventory the scarcity in the market is going to continue to drive prices. And so waiting is not a good idea right now, especially on the Big Island. There's no new inventory coming to the market. I was just having a discussion this morning with somebody about, where do they build new stuff? And I'm like, we don't build new stuff. Like there's no new buildings. There's no new subdivisions. It's like all resale and very few new single type homes that get built in primarily the South Kona and South Hilo areas, like the $500,000 house that was built on the wrong lot, which continues to be a news story that we keep seeing. But no new inventory, so market's steady.
It's going to be interesting to see when's going to be the tipping point when people are going to realize that interest rates aren't going down anytime soon, or if they are going to go down, it ain't going to be anything significant. The Fed, I believe, just is giving hints because there's inflation is ticking up, so it seems to indicate that the Fed will not be cutting interest rates anytime soon. Maybe
It doesn't look
but,
like it. We've
we'll-
talked about that in the past too, right? Is don't expect interest rates to come down significantly this year. I mean, maybe a half point or something, but I think long run we're going to be in a high 6% interest rate environment for a while. But the funny thing related to housing, and maybe not funny, but related to your discussion about power, is this is the community problem that we face. Is we want more affordable housing, but we don't want to build any more housing. Every time anybody proposes anything new, we oppose it. And we want more renewable energy, but as soon as somebody comes up with an idea to do renewable energy, we oppose it. And so it's like we kind of get our wires uncrossed in terms of what makes sense and how we actually get things done. And it's a problem for lots of different subjects, but definitely on the power front and the housing front, those are two things that we continue to struggle with because we can't figure out what we can agree on. And especially with geothermal, I mean, that, I've talked about in the past. I mean, if you built 2 more geothermal plants, you could basically power the whole island and burn no fossil fuel and no coal and have clean, renewable, and predictable energy. That's the biggest thing about renewable energy that's difficult is solar only produces during the day. Wind only produces when there's wind. The heat from the ground is always there. And so you can turn it up and turn it down based on the needs of the grid. And so it's very predictable and very consistent. And by far, one of the best sources for other markets in the world that have access to it. And we just continue to have issues trying to even just operate the current system that we have, let alone expanding it.
Yeah, that is an incredible thing. And actually, not only if they wanted to, could the volcano, can the Kilauea flows, not only can they completely easily power all of the Big Island, they could do the entire state. They could do the entire state. And
there's projections 6 or 8 major modern plants you could run lines underneath through the ocean, and you could power the whole state. Yeah,
power the whole state. Yeah.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, we're going to sue them. So. Hey, that's the state we live in, man. That's the state we live in. So, hey, let's say hi to a few of our friends here first before we move on.
Hey, I'm gonna sign off, guys. Thank you for having me. Have a great show. Thank you, Kara, for joining us, and Ashley.
No
I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
You got it.
Bye, Dylan. You're muted, Peter.
Thank you. A few folks I want to get some shout outs to and responses. Dwayne Carwell, he says, how's it, guys? How's it to you, Dwayne? Glad that you're here with us. Really like it. Auntie Joan says, I rent. And Jen Tomko says, Aloha, renting while my home is being built. That's got to be kind of exciting, right? That's kind of really be exciting, I'll bet. And Bob Carl says, aloha from a very damp Hawaii Kai. We own. Very good, Bob. Glad to hear it. And yeah, we're lamenting the wetness of today. But sometimes there's something cool about having a wet day. It's kind of fun. So, Kara, give us the update. What do you have to share from about Maui?
Absolutely. I'm keeping my eyes up and looking for those rainbows on these rainy days, Peter. So I'm going to share some rainbows in the statistical market. I have to say that the most movement that we've seen thus far this month is in the condominium market. Right now, we've had a huge skyrocket in the amount of condos that are on the market for new listings. We went up 46.5% in March. That was crazy. That's incredibly large. Comparative to the residential, we've had kind of a stay still. And that kind of makes sense because we're looking at the fact that due to the FEMA asking to have the rentals in the homes, they're not putting them on the market as much. And they're utilizing the program that's here for the FEMA market and having renters inside of a residential home. And the same thing true when we look at the listings for the condominiums, due to the fact that there was threats of not being able to have short-term vacation rentals, that just skyrocketed the amount of condos that are on the market. Now, the thing that really made my mind drop was the fact that the average sale price for residential has stayed consistent. But again, in the condominium market, it shot up 62.9%. That's the largest growth that we have seen in the average price. It went from $798,000 to $1,003,000 for condos. Supply and demand. This is like, let's go. And this is where I was shocked as well. When we had an 98.2% actual percent of list price received. They're paying the price for the condos. So there's a lot of motility right now going in the condo market, a stagnation in the residential market, but the prices are still climbing in residential, very small, high in the condos right now. So what we're seeing is a lot of movement in the condominium market.
Man, if you were thinking of getting out of the condo market, this is the time to get out of the condo market. My goodness, that is a shocking,
Yes.
that's a shocking statistics. That is shocking.
Cara, is that because I think someone mentioned it's because there was a new development that was released on Maui that was really high end, and they did their release, and a lot of those units sold last month, and that might be one of the contributors to that really high bump.
Mm-hmm. It did. It shot the market up for that particular thing. It was a very small percentage, but boy, that bell curve just ramped it right up.
Was that like a long time coming? Were people like chomping at the bit for that particular new build, or
no? From my perspective, from what I've seen, it's in Wailea, the one I think you're talking about that just came out, and they've been watching and marketing it. But we didn't expect to have such a quick sellout, because the market, we didn't expect to have that high end need at this point because of what's happening here. So it just went faster than expected.
But that is a really, really interesting example of the effects of government incentives, right? Government, it could really, 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 really distort the market. I mean, a 60% increase in housing price, that's like, that just doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah. And the fact that the new listings, I think that was a really big point of all of this too. The stagnation in listings in the residential, also for the government standpoint, as well as the increase in the listings. Now, to Ashley, one of the things, it's not just the amount of condos that came on the market because of that new build. I've seen a large amount of people putting their condos on the market, just miscellaneous condos throughout the whole entire Kihei and Lahaina area, especially Lahaina, that they want to be done because there was a threat of our government changing a bill in April, and everybody's just like, I'm done. And that's when a huge spike came up in March, because they just didn't want to deal with it. And then, of course, that didn't come through, where there was no passing of the ending of STVRs.
Yeah, that's really, really an amazing. I knew that Lahaina was going to be an amazing demonstration of market forces being manipulated and kind of what ends up happening to it. And it's just, and there was, of course, no way to predict what they would be, but it was just, it's fun to kind of watch it. Great. Hey, we got Joan here who's giving us a little bit of a lesson here about rain. Rain makes things grow, guys. Mother Nature gets thirsty once in a while. Yes. Hey, and Joan, you're right on the money, man. We got to have our rain. Got to have the rain. Got to have the rain. So, and actually today's rain, I think, is a good one. It's kind of it's like a slow, continued, easy. It's like the perfect rain. Farmers love this kind of rain because it seeps in as opposed to running off. It doesn't erode. It seeps into the soil. So anyway, thank you, Joan, for that piece of advice, bringing us back to earth over here. Appreciate that. So Ashley, give us the update. What's happening on Oahu that you'd like to share?
Oahu is fairly steady. We don't have any major swings right now. The median sales price is 1.1 million for single family homes, and for condos it's 500,000. So for single family homes, it's pretty stable. For condos, it's down. Like March this time last year, it was 536,000. We do have a slight decrease of the actual number of sales compared to March last year. I'm saying March because those are the full month statistics that we're working off of, but for condos, it's down 22.5% from last year. So more condos are coming on market, less are selling. And I think that's for a number of reasons. I think we have the opposite scenario of Maui, where we have a lot of people that are unloading condos. And I personally think it's because of flood insurances and hurricane insurance policies. I think that I've noticed, and I kind of warned clients about this through COVID when I saw this inflation jump up significantly. I was like, maintenance fees. I always tell clients when they're buying in condos, maintenance fees typically go up 3 to 5% annually. And I started seeing all this inflation happening. And I was like, I have a feeling this is going to impact the budget of these condos. And you're going to see a much higher increase in HOA fees. And that's exactly what happened in 2023. You started seeing 20, 30+% increase in HOA fees for some of these older associations, especially. So I think like nationally, we're seeing older HOAs are having these really large swings in HOA dues and fees. It's time for assessments to start coming up on these older buildings. We've talked about that before. We have this insurance issue that we've talked about before on the show. So I think that that's attributing to the condo market. It could be a good time to sell if you have equity, you've held on to it for some time. But for a buyer, you just got to make sure that you're prepared and you do your due diligence and you have a budget for these types of increases. But overall, talking about the interest rates and the Feds going down or up, I did just read this morning that they were talking about the next rate change in June this year, and they were considering they were thinking of lowering the interest rate 3 times this year, approximately. And they're saying inflation has done the absolute opposite the first quarter of this year, that things are going up significantly. Like car insurance is up 22%, healthcare is up 2.2%. So a lot of these things that they thought would come down did not. So it's a very strong chance that we are not going to see interest rates go down come June. In fact, it might go higher. Of course, we're talking about the Fed rate. We don't know what that will do to the interest rate of loans, but usually they tend to follow suit.
Very interesting things kind of happening. Yeah, this inflation, I think, was unexpected, and it's definitely gonna. I believe it's gonna. Well, not definitely, but it seems to me it's going to put off any rate cuts this year. Well, let's hope that inflation kind of stays under control, because not a good thing. Not a good thing. Thank you, Ashley, for that update. All right, gang. Let's move on over here. Hey, are you with us? How did you come here? Did you get an invitation through the newsletter, through the livinginhawaii.com newsletter? If you didn't, go to livinginhawaii.com right now. You're going to get a box will pop up where you can pop in your email address, and you'll be on the newsletter. You'll be notified of anything new shows, new content. We have great photos that are published every week. You want to be a part of that. So get into the Ohana at livinginhawaii.com. All right. Let's hit this one here. So we had a question that came in, and I thought it was kind of interesting. So let's kind of see how it all flies. So a veteran, here's the email that we got was from Jan, who actually lives on Oahu, and he says, "I'm a veteran and beginning lawyer with a firm, but not a lot of money yet. Rent or buy? Question mark. Works downtown Honolulu, has a dog. Who does he contact?" Well, I don't know about who you're going to contact if you have a dog, but I think the question that you brought up, Jan, is the rent or buy question. And I'm curious what your guys' feedback is on rent or buy. I mean, typically you always want to buy, right? Big fans of buying, but of renting. But I'm wondering if has the interest rates and the market dynamics and all this kind of stuff, what's going on in Maui, the Maui basically market warping, actually these things that are affecting insurance and things of that nature. Is this a time to perhaps revisit the rent again, never as a permanent solution, but is rent something to kind of look into as part of a strategy, given the situations the way they are now? So that's kind of what I was thinking about. We can chat about. And Ashley, why don't you kind of start us out on this, because you've talked about this a lot, and I could see that Kara is like being very thoughtful about this. You have your hand on your chin, and that means you're thinking a lot. So we're gonna let you keep thinking about that. But Ashley, what's your take? Has the rent or buy decision changed, or is it changing, or no?
Well, I think that comes down to personal circumstances. Certainly, I think that has a lot to do with job security and where you're at in life and any of your personal debts and where you want to be long. Now, Oahu specifically, we're an equity state. So that differs, and that matters when you're buying a property, if you're an equity or a cash flow state, and the price point, right? So we're an equity state. We've always had really strong swings of high amounts of equity. So when you get into home ownership,
Excuse me for a minute. What does I've never heard that term before. I've never heard the term used that we're an equity state, and you said versus a cash flow state. Can you explain that just quickly?
yeah. So normally when you get into households, you would say, hey, you got to live in this 7 to 10 years in order for you to have enough equity to sell and make a profit. And then other states or other markets you can buy and you could immediately rent it out in the foreseeable future, like in a year or two, and you could cash flow on that. So say if your mortgage is $1,000, you could make $1,400 or $1,500 because the mortgage is low enough, but the rents are higher. Some states like ours, we don't really cash flow well. So buying a house with the plan to rent it out in a couple years, you probably won't be able to cash flow on that monthly. So some people, we kind of have an analysis where we look at, okay, well, what is your income? Can you hold this property in a worst case scenario where you need a plan B or plan C, go see family, on the mainland? And are you able to carry that mortgage? Because historically speaking, every 10 years since 1960 on Oahu, we have seen 200,000 in the average equity for single family homes and about 40 to 50,000 in condos. And we can often see that happen in the first 5 years of homeownership here on this island. And so we don't cash flow well, but you can make a lot of equity in your asset here quickly. And so we are kind of known as an equity state, equity island. So I kind of look at everyone's personal financial situation. It's not a blanket statement, but as far as like my belief, I wouldn't be selling it if I didn't truly believe in it. I like the stability of homeownership. I like a fixed interest rates. When you're renting, that amount can go up. I have dogs myself, and sometimes people will sell the property and either have to move or the new landlord doesn't allow pets anymore, or you have to pay a pet deposit. You don't have as much control in your living situation. And I don't like that instability personally. So I truly believe in homeownership. As long as you understand your financial situation, you have job security, you know that you can afford what you're getting into a mortgage for, that's fixed. When you get into an HOA or anything that has a maintenance fee or monthly fee, again, we just look forward of what is the bonuses, what is your trajectory of your income look like versus the potential increase of those fees. And we just see if it makes it work. But as far as the benefits, you get to write off your taxes and you get to write off depreciation. So I think those in itself is a huge benefit. And because we are an equity state, just one step further, it gives you a foothold to change your life in bigger ways. Because once you own real estate, if you do it right and you buy right, and you can do either forced appreciation, you can wait for the market to appreciate, or you pay down your loan enough so you have a difference between your loan amount and your equity, you can pull against the property and the asset for emergencies. But not just that, you can pull against it and you can leverage the asset to get another property or to get another business going or to do things to level up your life. And when you're renting, you don't ever have that opportunity. You just pay it and that's it. So I feel like a lot of people, if they have the education and they have someone behind them with them for the long run, they can kind of think of these things forward. So you get into something and we continue working together towards what is those dreams? What are your goals in the next 5, 10, 20 years? Mm-hmm. Home ownership, right. Team home ownership.
Your team home ownership, yeah, and those are some very good examples. And I never thought about the equity versus cash flow a basis of Hawaii. And I'll tell you one thing that we've definitely seen is that Hawaii is for sure about as stable as it gets in real estate appreciation, no matter what. And we've been through COVID, we've been through fires in Lahaina, we've been through all kinds of stuff, and here we are. Kara, what about you?
I want to add one more thing. Sorry, Kara. I have an agent on my team, and he's, he got into his home in town in Honolulu when the interest rates were 18%, and he still has this house to this day. And now it's not a reverse mortgage, but he has an all-in-one mortgage. So over those, since he bought it in the 60s or the 70s, and it was an 18% interest rate, he's refinanced it so much. His monthly payment is so insignificant. It's so minimal now. And he has all these creative loans he's used over time on this house he found an all-in-one mortgage where literally he pulls out against that house. It's like a bank account now. And if he wants to go invest in a flip, or he wants to go lend someone money because he gets interest, on that return, he can pull out 100,000, 200,000 on the house and do that. And so he's been able to leverage this one house that he's had at that 18% interest rate originally that he paid. And he's like, how am I going to afford this? I can't do it. But he figured out a way. He created a rental down below, and he's leveraged this asset ever since. And it has literally kept him afloat through COVID when he lost his job as well. But I know a lot of people who are renting, and that's it. If they lose their job and government assistance is over, eviction letters come, they have no options. There is no creative options from there. And historically speaking, our interest rates are still below where they were in 1999. In fact, from 1999 and below is when the interest rates really started going down. And before 1999, the interest rates were all higher. From 1973, it was about where we are now. In 1980s, it was 3 times what it is today, at least double what it is today. And 1980s all the way to 1990s, you saw it higher than it is today. So those are decades that the rates were significantly higher or at where we are now.
I do remember actually the time when interest rates were 18% during the Carter administration. I remember it, quite vividly. It was a big deal. So excellent. Thanks, Ashley. That's a lot of details though. Kara, what's your take on the rent versus buy question?
I have to say, Ashley, thank you for the masterclass. That was epic. I think I took so many notes. You were incredible. And I am on team Ashley with buy. And here's the reason. I absolutely live and love that word leverage. Leverage is when you can purchase a home and you've had a great team of people working with you, your financiers, your lenders. Get creative, work through the options, and keep being diligent. So that way you have the opportunity for leverage. Because as Ashley said, that you have the ability to long-term success through real estate ownership. Rental, you don't. You have no leverage. And right now, one of the statistics that I don't know if anybody ever really drilled into is the fact that the Lahaina wildfires, we talk about 2,000 buildings that were destroyed, 4,500 people that were affected, but 78% of those people were renters. They don't have the ability to have any leverage. Their world, in many ways, of security was done. 78% were renters. That's huge. That's no leverage. So that's why many people had to leave. That's why many people are still in the hotels trying to find a solution. That's why we were struggling to have these rent increases that are ridiculously high at this particular moment. And it's forcing a hand that you wouldn't have to have if, in fact, you had the resilience to go into home ownership. So I'm definitely team home ownership all the way. And if there's not here at this particular moment, get creative. You can rent for a short bit of time here on Maui and then buy on the Big Island, buy in Hilo, buy in Texas, buy somewhere else to have that rental income coming in to pay for things so you can start getting more equity to have the down payment that you need. Get creative. This is the time to get creative and buy.
Excellent. Thank you.
That's my spiel.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And I mean, it's the first time I've heard of that shocking statistic. 78% were renters. I mean, you want to talk about disruption.
Mm-hmm.
That is like big time. And like you said, they've got very little recourse. They're just out. They're pretty much out, which is, yeah, cool. Hey, great revisiting of this tired old, not tired old, but a well-worn question. And thanks for revisiting and spelling out all the issues. I really appreciate that tremendously. Hey, I was thinking about, Kara, can you just off the cuff give us the update? What's Maui like these days? I mean, I'm hearing there's all kinds of crazy disruption going on, right? The rental rates here, regulation there. We're gonna legislate, short-term vacation rentals are gonna be illegal. We're gonna take possession of people's homes to rent them out. What's the general vibe? How would you describe the general vibe on Maui right now?
Wow. Well, that's a very loaded question, and you can see my face turning a little red because I am definitely of the mindset of keep it positive and always look towards the good and see the good in everything. There has been a lot of challenge, and this is where I'm just going to be blunt. It has been a lot of challenge, a lot of fear that's inside of the people that are coming to Maui as visitors, as well as the people that are still here. There's so much volatility and disruption and uncertainty. I think uncertainty is the word that I would use, is the overwhelming feeling here on Maui. And that's from the people that I have that report to me from the Lahaina side specific, as well as having the homeowners and the condo owners that are now in the FEMA programs. So uncertainty is definitely the vibe here on Maui. It's coming to a boiling point. Good thing is that there was a pop in that fear where April 1st came and went, the STVR threat went away. Whew. Because that was building up a lot of tension with not just the real estate world, the clients, or not the clients, the visitors that were coming to Maui, as well as the owners. Everybody's life were looking at being disrupted, but that abated. And now we're moving on to the next thing. Okay, what's the next thing? But I do have hope. You want to hear a little piece of hope?
Please, let's hear it, of course.
Starting to have the ability to rebuild. Yay! I have a person who lost their home in Lahaina, and I just talked to her yesterday morning, and she said that they're working with Hunsador to, I'm sure everybody knows who Hunsador is. It's a prefab company, and they're working on getting the Hunsador homes and the sewer lines piped up to the main line. So it seems like they fast-tracked the homeowners in certain areas and certain zones to get rebuilt. And that made me boohoo cry. I was so happy to hear that there was motion towards having some sort of balance and normality. And I didn't expect it to be that quick.
I think, my big takeaway from what you're saying here is that really it's this unknown, this stress of the unknown. That's really right. It's the stress of the unknown. What's going to happen? What's going to be this law? Is it going to, is it going to, how's it going to impact me? Is it going to, am I out on the street, or am I going to have to, am I going to have to rent out my home, et cetera. And so a little bit of clarity is a good thing. Good thing. Hey, we got a couple of questions that popped in. First of all, a comment here. Let's see, from Cardiac 161. For those incentives to move some short-term rentals in Maui to long-term rentals, how will renters be able to afford the HOA fees, the insurance, the utility bills, etc.? Carrie, you want to hit that one?
Well, if in fact, and I am no government official, so always go back to your government and check. However, if in fact the short-term vacation rentals are being forced to go into the long-term rental market, which we've found at this point has not, then it looks as if there is going to be programs that support that change, meaning that there's going to be someone helping along the way for those renters to come in to rent it. There's an incentive to the owner in order to balance some of those fees. So I hope that answers your question. There's not a clear detailed of X amount of percent is going to be utilized for covering those fees. However, there is talk that they were going to have a large tax incentive and incentives for the home owners or the condo owners in order to switch it over to the long term.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. I mean, again, it's kind of interesting. I think one of the best examples I have ever heard of the distortions of market incentive, the result of market distortions due to government incentives, right? Best analogy I ever heard was take a coat hanger and bend it.
Yep.
Take a coat hanger and bend it. Now make that coat hanger straight again. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So my heart goes out to the folks on Maui. I hope they survive all these issues. Michael Lada has got a point. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. The problem with renting is that you lose to the market. The market goes up and you get a smaller part of the house per dollar. Unless you can see a large increase in income, it only gets harder. Yeah. Because typically salaries don't cover the cost of don't cover inflation typically. And if you got a business, then you should be in a position to make enough money to pay for the house. But yeah, you lose to the market eventually. Not to mention, I would think that the instability is even scarier. That's to me, especially as you get older, you don't want that instability. You want to know you've got a safe place to live where you're at. So cool. All right. So why don't we do this? How about if we let's go to our diamonds and deals, see what properties that we want to feature here. And we'll get into that first and see where things go. If we have any time, we'll come back. We'll circle back and do some questions. Kara, you came in at the last minute here. Did you pop in a property?
I did not get a chance to get in there. So I think I'm just going to have to watch you guys show off the diamonds and deals.
Well, why don't we do this? I'm going to bring up Ashley, and then just think about a property that you want to talk about. Just think about a property that you want. Yeah. You don't have the cool slide, and that's all right. I'm really thankful that you made it. And so let's do this. This is, I believe, Kalaheo Avenue in Kailua. What is it, Ashley?
Well, I also wanted to do another analogy, the coat hanger, but it's like opening up a sleeping bag and trying to get it back into the bag. Why don't they just make the sleeping bags bigger? The tent bags bigger, the air mattress bags bigger. That's just a pet peeve of mine. Okay, moving on. Diamond and deals.
Moving on, Ashley. Diamonds and deals. What's this Kalaheo property?
So it's not my listing. This is listed by Susan at Corcoran. And I could not get a hold of her in advance. So hopefully she's okay with me showcasing it because I loved this house. It's on North Kalaheo in Kailua on Oahu. And if you know Kailua at all, Kalaheo, North Kalaheo, that is such a fantastic location to be on because you are super close to the beach. And this is that's a 5-minute walk right there to the beach. And it is the white sandy beach with the famous Moke Islands. Like it is just it's a 4-mile stretch beach to walk. So you can walk that puppy in a few hours. So it's really nice. It's perfect. 6-bedroom, 5 bathrooms, 6 parking, just under 3,000 square feet. It does have a pool, and we were talking about investments, and I always try to identify a property that I would want myself and why. 1, I love this part of Kailua. 2, for last week, I had a property that had 4 potential living places in it that was house hacked. This has 2, which is a single family home to the left, if you look at the top right photo. And to the right, you see an Ohana unit, and that has another bedroom, bathroom, and kitchenette in there. And it's a vibe. It's cute. It's got a pool, but it has the rental income, and that's important. It has enough parking for the rental income, which is important. And it has 42 owned solar panels. This is a little bit less expensive than the other one that I showcased on the last show. So around the same price, but prime location. The other one was over by a great, I can't say school district. So look up your school districts. But this one is by world-class best beaches. I want it.
That's the qualifier. That's the qualifier, Ashley. You want it. That's the key.
I do.
And so that lets out that gives us Ashley's perspective on what she likes. That is a beautiful beach. And there is something that is really, really remarkable about living within a short walk from your house to the beach. There is something absolutely remarkable about that. And we've had that kind of a situation in our home for the past 30 years. And it's been really a tremendous, it's so cool to just be able to walk out of your house. You walk out of your house. You don't have to take the car. You don't have to take the keys. You just walk out. You don't even need a towel. You don't even need a towel. Just go with your, with your reef walkers and walk over to the beach, jump in, you're good, enjoy yourself, jump out, walk back home. You're all wet. Who cares? It's Hawaii. And you're home. There's just nothing cooler than that.
And the reason why that house is so ideal for anyone looking who wants to be in this area, and that house is just so prime. I'm fairly close to the beach. I'm a 15-minute walk from the beach and like a 7-minute bike ride. That's just too far. Like I never walk to the beach. I hardly ever bike down to it. And the bike access and where I would go, it's a common area. So that's where like the kite surfers all get into the water and everything. So It's not like this where it's just the path less traveled. There's not street parking down here on where this beach access road is. So you just don't have as much traffic on this portion of the beach. So it's just really nice, like you said, to be able to walk out and go. And if you don't, like, you're always just striving. And again, going back to the perks of home ownership is like, okay, well, I have this house for a few years. It's built enough equity where I can sell it in theory, or I can leverage it, and I could put a few extra 100,000 down on the other one, so that I could level up, a little bit more every time to get a little bit closer to the beach until I'm on it.
It is the coolest thing. It is the coolest thing. It is the coolest thing. And Mark agrees. That's what I want. That's what I want next. Walking or biking distance to the beach. Yes.
Yeah.
And the walk distance is like 5 minutes. If it's more than 5 minutes, it's too far. It's too far. Yeah. Biking maybe, but then, biking has got its own complications, etc. But a 5-minute walk is doable. And that is the coolest thing. Hey, I got to give a quick shout out to Judy Everett Weber. Judy, welcome. Judy has had an amazing adventure. She just moved to the Big Island after years of planning. So we're so happy for Judy. Dylan's company helped Judy find their unit, a pillar of the Islander Ohana. Great to have you with us again, Judy. I hope you're enjoying the bliss of, yes, you are living in Hawaii. There's something cool about that. So something really, really cool about knowing that you are living in Hawaii. Finally, you made it, Judy. God bless. congratulations. Okay, so Kara, what property do you want to talk about in Maui? We don't have the graphics, but
I think your
visualization is going to be excellent.
The visualization. Okay. So I did put it in the chat. So if anybody has any ability to take a look at it. So I conversely, yes, I love the ocean. I love to be with the sand in the toes, but I also love the opportunity to be in a place where we can garden and live off the land a little bit. And I have to say that 98 Lahaole place up in the Malohia country, it's up country just a little bit. It's on the west side of what we would call Kahakaloa Head. It's behind Wailuku. And this one is listed by Melanie Vitale with our own EXP. And this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. The square footage is 2,696 square feet of gorgeousness. And it's on land. It's on 3.53 acres. It's stunning. And if you want to get away from it all a little bit, but still be super close to town, it's a drive through. You're central to everything. You have land to explore, to build, and you have the ocean view. So if you can see it, there you go. Yes, that's teamwork right there. So you can see the ocean, you're up above. So if you feel like the kings and the queens and you want to look at your domain, then that is one of the most beautiful places. And that staircase, Peter, if you can get a shot of that living room, it's epic. So it's definitely worth taking a look at. I would highlight this one by far. That one right there. That's just beautiful. That's like living inside and outside in luxury.
Cool. Hey, look, I'm glad we were able to kind of, pop this out really quick, just kind of improvise. I'm glad we did it. And I'm glad you're sharing a great property that's in Maui. Terrific. All right. Okay, gang. So look, folks, if you've got a question and if you've got a comment, you want to make sure that you pop it into us because we are the show is coming to we're winding up. We're coming to a close. We have a few minutes left. Mark says, "Congrats, Judy, and welcome." Yes, it's been really cool. The Islander Ohana has a private Facebook group. You can't access it unless you're a member. And everyone has been so supportive of Judy. And there's another Islander Ohana member who's on his way to making his move finally happen, years again of planning. And everybody is so supportive and so really, really cool to see that. And so, gang, I want to thank you all for doing that and taking care of Judy and being kind to Judy and everybody else. So thank you so much for doing that. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Mark, yeah, I'm going to go back. That's the thing, man. That's your next mark. Your next mark, Mark. Your next mark is getting that close to the beach. That's what you want, buddy. That's what you want. You'll get there. You'll make it happen. Cool. All right. So why don't we do this? I think it's time for, we're going to bring this show to a close. We're going to talk about I got to do a couple screen sharing here. So please Please excuse the technical issues that we undergo right now, but okay, there we go. So we're going to get into our, here we go, our closing thoughts. Great segment of the show, closing motivational thoughts. Do you have any closing motivational thoughts that you would like to share with the rest of us? We'd like to hear it. All right, so let's get into yours, Ashley. What is it, and what does it mean to you?
Imagine how we would be if we were less afraid. So I read to my daughter. We read a few books every single night, and I have an enormous, wonderful group of people in my life who will mail me books, like friends and family members, throughout the years. And someone had got us The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse in the last year or so. And we pulled it out again last night. And it's just a wonderful little book that has these lovely little messages all the way through it. And he had this one-liner in there last night. And I was like, yeah, imagine if we just weren't afraid of people thinking we looked silly. Or imagine if we weren't afraid of, losing money or losing, our stability. Or imagine if we weren't afraid of losing our relationship and being our best selves, or losing a friend and going after dreams that would put a gap between us. Just imagine. We make a lot of fear-based decisions in life.
Yes, fear is a very important evolutionary development. It tells us it keeps us from being eaten by lions. It helps us from jumping off of the cliff. It's a good thing, but you have to know it for what it is, and don't let it take an outsized proportion of your life. Right? Know what it is, acknowledge it when you feel it, look at what's happening to it, and take the appropriate steps if it needs to have any more attention or not. It could be the old, what's that base of the skull, the primal part of your brain that's kind of like bringing up those fear things. And yeah, very good, excellent. Auntie Jones got one. Thank you, Auntie Joan. I didn't want to kind of like force it on you, because you're always there with us. You're always there. You always give a good one, and they're always great. And I didn't want to like put the pressure on. So thank you for doing this. This is an oldie but a good way. It is done unto you as you believe. Yes, it is done unto you as you believe. Kind of these amazing insights into the nature of consciousness, or the nature of experiences, or the nature of like how we bring about things, and how our mind brings about these things that we focus on. It's pretty remarkable. Kara, do you have anything that you want to share? I know you don't have a slide, and that's perfectly okay. Is there a favorite that you'd like to share of any, what comes to mind?
I have so many, Peter. This could be a show in and of itself. So I'll just pick the one that I too read to my kids this morning, Ashley. So it was perfect. I was like, how did that happen? It's called Today I Will. Today I will be thankful. See the good in everyone. Trust that love is the way. Have hope. Go out of my way to help someone. So today I will be me. That's all.
We have
Love
a theme.
it.
I love it.
We got to empower these legacies, these little kids and everybody in our lives, be the light.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, your children, you are your children's parents, whether you like it or not. You are your children's parents. They're going to follow what you do, whether you like it or not. And so you might as well kind of, watch your actions to bring about the types of good people that you have hopes for them to be. So excellent. And Joan, on the oldies but goodies, I'm the champion of the oldies. I go back 3,500 years to Proverbs, and I've been doing this now for years on the show, which is, he who trusts in his riches will wither, but the righteous will flourish like a green leaf. It's never always about the money. It's never about the money. It's never about the money. Do not trust in your riches. He who trusts in your riches will wither, but the righteous will flourish like a green leaf. So be righteous in your life. Be righteous in what you do. And don't go after the money. Don't go after the money as a primary thought. Yes. Oh, so Chelsea, thank you, Chelsea. Chelsea is popped something in here for us. Chelsea, Hawaii Realtor. Tough times never last. Tough people do.
Love that.
Absolutely.
That's right, girl.
Absolutely.
Joanne and
That's
Chelsea
it,
came
girl.
in clutch.
That is so absolutely true. Very, very well said. This goes along with the issue of never quitting, right? Never quitting, right? Because if you never quit, you'll get there. Never quit, you'll get there. Never give up. Never give up. All right, gang. I think this is it. We're going to see you folks again in 2 weeks. Thank you. There you go. Thank you, Kara. Thank you, Kara, for thank you for being here today. It was great. Great positive influence. Actually, exactly what I needed to do today's show. So
It was my
thank you for being
absolute
here.
pleasure, Peter. I'm here for you
Yeah,
anytime.
oh, thank you. You are very, very sweet. And thanks actually for being here. All right, let's go counterclockwise. Ashley and then Kara, say goodbye to everybody.
Have a great one, everyone. Stay dry. Aloha.
Many blessings and look for those rainbows.
Look for those rainbows. Indeed. Aloha all. And thank you for making it. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Aloha.